While the university is commonly understood to be a place where different knowledge systems enter into dialogue and debate, the institutional structures of the university tend to acculturate and conscript different kinds of knowledge into their own existing categories for what can be known, how knowledge can be organized, and what forms of knowledge are legitimate and credible. The Different Knowing Speaker Series and interviews address the question of if and how the university can be a place of different knowings, different epistemologies, different knowledges.
When we had succeeded in getting into college as a young man in my whole generation, and we finally wandered into philosophy courses through accidents of counselors and things like that. They started asking questions that had never really occurred to us in our indigenous consciousness and even our school and things like that about how do you know and what's your purpose on life. And we took that with us as sort of a phenomenology of something we experienced in classroom that made a little sense to us in so many ways, but we never dealt with it. We talked about all the European guys who had written books and how they disagreed, and as if finding the Eurocentric meaning of life would help us in some way. So we were at the Sundance. I remember we asked the arrow keeper, the question, and we had a terrible time phrasing it in our language. But we finally asked him, well, what's the purpose of life? We didn't have a good word for purpose. We had a good word for life, but we had to use the life processes and modify it in a way it hadn't been done comfortably before, because it's a new sort of concept. And we took a while for him to understand it. And eventually he said, we only come here to dream. That in the spirit world and the other worlds, we have many other lives and many other consciousnesses in translation. And he said, but when we come to this earth realm, we only come here to do what you can't do in the spiritual world. And we come here to dream. And that all of our culture, all of our ceremonies are all a dreamlike stance that we talk about as reality. Well, that's not his word, but we talk about it as being concrete, but not structured in dreams. But that conversation, sort of turned my head around, is that dreaming had never been mentioned by the European greats. They had already looked at reason as the salvation and somehow explaining their experience. But that understanding that we came here to dream and that our essential spirit, as Marie has said, is one of animating and enabling this learning spirit. And that was a key insight.